My name is Rose Martin, and I'm the director of Rose's Good Company. Rose's Good Company is a service agency that provides services to people who would otherwise fall through the cracks. We help homeless people, we help people who are just recently been released from prison, we help the newly unemployed, we help low-income people living in low-income housing. You name it, we're there to provide a service. Rose's Good Company is an agency that gives hope where there is none. We don't give people what we think they should have. We give people what they need. Richard ran in my office one day, and he was interested in looking for anybody on the planet who would help him.
I received an email a few months ago from my children's grandparents.
He said, I was looking at my email last night on my computer, and the grandparents of my two children sent me an email saying they want to take my parental rights away from me. I don't want them to take my parental rights away from me. I want to see my children.
They refuse. They just are so adamant about taking my daughter from me. You know, they want my parental rights taken so they can adopt my child.
He said, I don't have any money. I'm homeless. I'm living in a shelter. They're going to use all that against me, plus my past history of alcoholism. He said, I know it's going to go against me. I know it's going to go. I said, wait a minute. Sit down. Sit down. We need a plan. We have to have a plan. He said, well, how can you have a plan and I don't have anything? I'm in the shelter. I'm not working. I said, yes, you are. You're working. Every day you go to your community health commitments. Every day you do what they tell you to do, your therapists and the people that work with you through community mental health. Yes, you are. Yes, you do have something. You got a job to do. And you're doing a wonderful job. I said, look in the mirror. Look how good you look. You ain't all spastic and everything. He said, yeah. He said, I went over to Washington the other day and signed up to go back to school, to college. I said, you did? He said, yeah. He says, I want to be a computer professional. I want to get a master's in computers. I said, oh, my good Richard, you kidding me? He said, no, that's what I want to do. I said, that's great. I said, we got to find you a job or get you some income, find you some housing. But right now, we need to deal with this man, the kid's grandparents, who has emailed you. He left his phone number. Here it is. He said, call him at this number. I'm not calling him because they treat me really bad. They've always treated me bad. That's why I'm separated now from my children.
I wouldn't call them because I don't want to get in trouble, and I've been trying to do the next right thing on a regular basis. So I called Rose. I told her what was going on.
I said, how old are they? He said 7 and 10. I said, when's the last time you seen them? He said, my baby I haven't seen ever, the one that's 7. I said, you haven't? He said, no.
I've been seeing my daughter since she was 3 years old. They took her and they have used the courts to keep my child from me.
He said, I don't want to lose my parental rights. Why would they do this to me? I said, I don't know, Richard. He said, they're rich. They're people with a lot of money. And I said, oh, they are? I said, I tell you what, give me the phone number. And if it's okay with you, I will call him, tell him that I'm your advocate, and that you have asked me to talk to him in this regard. He said, would you do that for me? Would you do that for me? I said, sure, I will. I said, I do it all the time for people act as an advocate. I said, give me the number. He gave me the number, and I called, and the man answered the phone.
She is the one that advocated for me and told how I was feeling, because I probably wouldn't say the right thing.
So anyway, I talked with him, and he He talked very nice. He says, my nephew who lives in Grand Rapids wants to adopt Richard's daughter. So the reason why I emailed Richard was because we want him to sign off his parental rights. I said, just like that?
I told her then I would never give up my parental rights. I love my daughter. And so she relayed the message to them. And
I said, I don't think Richard would ever do anything like that. Oh, well, he's here, there, and everywhere. He doesn't really care. My daughter has already signed off her parental rights. I said, well, it's one thing for your daughter to sign them off because your daughter can see her children anytime she wants to because she's a part of your family. Richard has not seen his son ever and hasn't seen his daughter since she was 15 and a half months old. Well, I guess we'll just have to do this through the courts. I said, well, one of the reasons why you emailed Richard is because probably the courts told you to. And we found out later that was the truth, that they had tried to take Richard's parental rights away from him, but that the court realized that Richard had never been properly notified that this action was being taken against him.
I just found out everything was going on after the email and after the deck was stacked so high against me, and Rose found out what was going on.
The further we got down in this story, they had all kinds of things where they were sending Richard notices at places he lived 15 years ago. Never sent it to the shelter, the homeless shelter in Ann Arbor. They didn't do what they were supposed to do to contact him. Actually, they wanted to just ramrod it through because they figured he was dysfunctional, and that would be it.
Next thing I know, they have me up in court. And I thought it was going to be here in Washtenaw County, but come to find out it was transferred from Washtenaw County to Kent County, which is in Grand Rapids.
They had moved it out of the Washtenaw County court to the Grand Rapids court, which should have never been done, but, people with money can do things. Anyway, we ended up going to Grand Rapids, and what we did, it was in the dead of winter, and Richard didn't have any money. He was staying in the shelter. He didn't have no money. And I said, you know what, Richard? I said, I'm going to raise this money, and what we're going to do is we're going to get a couple of your supports, and I'm going to get a driver, and what we're going to do is leave the day before your court date. In case it snows, because if it snows, you ain't going to get there in time. And if you didn't get to this court, they're already down to the wire. If you don't show up in Grand Rapids in court, you lose your parental rights. It's that simple. If you read all the paperwork, it says that. Because all of the things that they were supposed to do up until that point, according to the paperwork, they had did. But there was no way that he was going to get that mail from an East State Street address when he hadn't been there in over 10 years.
Rose Martin has made sure that I've been at every court date that I have to be at, and I still have to go again this month on the 26th. So, and she's making sure that, and she's my advocate, and she's there for me.
24 hours before Richard was supposed to be in Grand Rapids the first time with the snowstorm, I raised money, we need money, to put Richard on a bus to send him to Waukegan, Illinois, to bury his father.
Rose sent me to Chicago, Illinois, to bury my dad.
His father died 5 or 6 days prior to him having to be in Grand Rapids. And he didn't have a dime.
He died on New Year's Eve at 10 o'clock. That Wednesday, I buried my father.